Hello and welcome back to Norty's Forgotten Flicks. In 2014, a little movie came out called Oculus, and it was fucking awesome.
It was scary, it was suspenseful, the acting was great, and it had some of the best editing I think I've ever seen.
I was gonna review that, but it's become so well known in the years since, and so I decided to review another movie by the same director. This is Hush.
Released on Netflix in 2016, Hush was directed by Mike Flannagan and stars Kate Siegel as Maddie, a deaf woman who lives alone in a house in the middle of the woods. Maybe not the best plan when you're physically disabled, but she uses the time to write. One day, a mysterious man in a mask shows up, played by John Gallagher Jr., and while he has the opportunity to kill her right away, he instead decides to mess around with her. He cuts out the power, steals her phone, slashes her tires, and lets her know he's there. Then the movie becomes a non-stop thrill ride with the most intense game of cat and mouse you will ever see. We'll start with the characters. Well, there's really only two. Maddie is a great lead. We don't get a lot of time to get to know her, but she's a writer, currently having trouble finishing her second novel, and she also went through a bad breakup with a guy named Craig. She's also very smart. Yeah, she can't hear and can't talk, but she makes up for it in wit. Every decision she makes is the right one. This came out the same time as 10 Cloverfield Lane, another movie that had a lead that did all the right things, and there were also the leads in Don't Breathe and The Shallows. We're finally getting leads in horror movies that are really smart. As for Maddie, when she sees that he's out there, she grabs a weapon and barricades herself in her room. When she can't call for help, she tries to set off her car alarms to distract him, and at certain points she'll go through scenarios in her head to see if it's worth trying to attempt.
Get the power back on.
Go outside, get the power back on. I don't know if you flip the switch or cut the wires. Hide it.
Hiding.
Bedroom, bathroom, loft. There are windows in each, all he needs is a rock.
And all he needs is a rock.
Loft doesn't have any cover, no doors to barricade, and best case scenario, he doesn't find you and you bleed to death.
Find me and I bleed to death.
Kate Siegel does a great job playing her. She doesn't talk, well she does a few times in inner monologues, but for the most part she's silent. And yet she's great in it. She's able to display so much with just her face and body motions. I felt sympathy for her and wanted her to survive. John Gallagher Jr. plays the nameless killer. Again, brilliant. He's physically imposing, creepy, and charming and deceiving when he needs to be. As for the character, I hated this guy. I hated this guy. This was one of the best villains of 2016, if not one of the best horror movie villains of the past decade. It's not just that he's a killer, it's not just that he seems to get joy out of it, it's that he goes extra lengths to make his victims' final moments some of the most horrifying they can be. Again, he can basically kill her right away, but he lets her know he's there and then just circles the house, making her nervous. Hell, he uses the corpse of her friend to freak her out.
Fuck this guy. I have seen villains who have wanted to destroy the planet that I hated less, because at least that would be a quick death.
The direction in the movie is excellent. Mike Flannagan, who is actually married to Kate Siegel, with this, Oculus and Ouija Origin of Evil, has now cemented himself as a director I will see any movie for. This movie is suspenseful as hell. There's not much dialogue, all the fear is conveyed through the acting, the camera, and the editing. It's very dark, but not so much that you can't see anything, and there are some very long takes that made me feel really uneasy. Like this scene where Maddie is in the kitchen and in the back is the door, showing nothing but black emptiness. It makes you feel like something's gonna pop up, but they also give you a good chance to get to know the location. He really shows off the house. Hell, the house is practically a character, which is something I love in home invasion movies. The music is great too, but what I love is that it isn't overused. The scene where Maddie first sees the killer is really effective because there isn't some loud blast of music. The score is excellent, and the movie is also very short, coming in at only about 80 minutes. It goes by at a very quick pace, so it's never boring.
Now my favorite scene has to be the part where Maddie tries to escape on the roof, as it's not only incredibly suspenseful, it nearly gave me a heart attack the first time I saw it, but it shows off Maddie's brains and the killer's relentlessness.
So is there anything bad about it? Not really. There are a couple little nitpicks I can come up with if I really try to look for them. For one, after she stabbed him in the arm, you think he just burst in already. Also, there's a character named John who comes in at the beginning of the last act. He realizes something is wrong, but the killer comes up and says he's a cop who got ambushed and his stuff stolen. And all I think is, where's his uniform? Granted, he figures it out pretty quickly, but then something happens that basically makes the whole thing pointless. But those are really small nitpicks. Hush is a great home invasion thriller. It's on Netflix, so if you have an account, give it a watch. At worst, it'll just take up 80 minutes of your time.
So give it a watch if you haven't. I think you'll enjoy it.